The sun blazes fiercely in the sky as Orba stands in chains, the scorching heat adding to the weight of his burden. Not so long ago, his past was different. Back then, he wore a mask to conceal not only his identity but his rage. Captured and deemed a criminal, Orba's fate now lies in a cart bound for a distant market. His captor, a merchant, jabs him forward, mocking him about how the mask doesn't make him special. "It's time to put on a show," the merchant taunts. Orba's journey into a new life as a gladiator begins as he's pushed into a crowd of other chained captives. The streets buzz with the activities of a colonial marketplace. Women chat animatedly by the roadside, and children dart between stalls. Yet here he is, an outsider among slaves, pulling a cart through the bustling world he once called home. Despite the vibrant chaos, a sense of detachment settles over him. The group arrives at a training ground where men clash swords, their grunts echoing through the air. Among them is Goin, who quickly introduces Orba to his new reality. "Your life as anything else is over," Goin declares, challenging Orba to fight. Orba, still defiant, lunges but is sent sprawling, his strength sapped from the journey. Goin taunts Orba, "In less than an hour, I'll put you in your coffin more than 20 times over." Driven by determination, Orba continues to resist. Just as Goin moves to strike again, a voice disrupts them, warning Orba to move. He dives to the side, barely avoiding a blow. Swiftly, Orba gains his footing, ready to confront the relentless threats around him. In this harsh environment, his thoughts linger on survival and the mysterious girl who once crossed his path without fear, her presence calming yet intriguing. Suddenly, a surprise interrupts Orba's struggles as a shadowy figure trips him, and he crashes to the ground. The figure is Shikyu, who calmly informs Orba about his specialness and assigns him a purpose in this savage world. The night deepens as Orba lies on a straw bed, his body aching from the day's events. A doctor, a silent, shadowy figure, tends to his wounds. Once the doctor leaves, Orba is met with another visitor, the talkative and enigmatic Shikyu. Shikyu hints at the girl's rarity, indicating she might hold more significance than Orba realizes. Meanwhile, in another world of luxury and turmoil, Velina, the third princess of Garbira, listens as Layla mourns over her tragic past, a night of blood and betrayal that reshaped her future. Velina, struck by Layla's pain, connects with her on a deep emotional level. Layla's sorrow stirs memories for Velina, specifically of Gil Mephius, the crown prince, whose enigmatic presence once stirred rumors of weakness. Yet, having met him, Velina realizes his complexity and hidden strength, a stark contrast to the rumors. Thoughts of Gil blend with the present as she recalls moments during his coronation and the tumultuous events that followed. Velina's introspection takes a reflective turn, recalling how she was once forced to hide her true emotions during a regal event with Gil. As memories cascade around her, she questions the authenticity of appearances in royal courts. Eventually, an image of Gil's face appears before her in a dream, assuring her, "I hope you will never lose that vision." Back in the reality of court life, Velina finds herself entangled in doubt, pondering the authenticity of everything she's experienced. The weight of her encounters with Gil and his court blends with her consciousness, leaving her both cautious and curious about what shadows may creep upon her heart. Through these winding paths of fate, the story of Orba and Velina unfolds, a tale of enduring spirit, hidden identities, and the relentless pursuit of truth. Goin charges up the tower staircase, having hurriedly left a few soldiers at Layla's door, unsure if they can handle what lies ahead. His thoughts race back to a man named Alnag, who was once close to the princess. Goin can't shake the memory of how the young man wielded influence over Princess Velina simply through words, even making Layla blush when she listened. Standing before the tower door, Goin grapples internally, uncertain if he should intervene in what awaits inside. But his loyalty to the crown takes over, opening the door. There, he finds Layla, visibly upset and guarded by Princess Velina. Velina tries to comfort Layla with her presence and words, suggesting a bath might be beneficial, showcasing her gentle disposition. Goin's sudden appearance causes a stir. As Velina directs Layla away, Goin is left reflecting on the unexpected course of events. Then, Velina turns to Goin, calmly taking charge of the situation, her voice carrying authority and wisdom. Moments later, she exits, leaving going contemplating her strength and resolve. Meanwhile, Zenon Owl, a commander, positions his troops strategically, sensing the brewing conflict. His enemy, the Gabaran forces, approach from both east and west, forcing Zenon into a tight spot. With limited numbers, barely 200 soldiers at his side, Zenon has no choice but to rely on cunning over brute force. A conference with Lord Eric reveals their enemies are over 3,000 strong, a daunting figure. However, the Gabaran's new alliance shifts the scales unexpectedly, sparking hope. Zenon and his allies brace for combat, throwing caution to the wind in the face of overwhelming odds. Outside Zenon's tent, his companions, Moldorf and Nilgif, prepare for battle. Nilgif, always the jesting brother, questions Zenon about his famous helmet, symbolizing the enemy general's intentions. Zenon's response is swift, hinting at the uncertainty of whose head it might guard. The banter between them lightens the mood, a small reprieve before the imminent clash. As the soldiers hover at the edge of confrontation, Fard Cresseum, a foe with a mysterious air, orchestrates plans from the enemy's side. Fard, nonchalant and somewhat disconnected from events, deliberates on how best to communicate tactics to Prince Caesarea. His demeanor is that of a man who thrives on the unpredictability of war, seemingly oblivious to its gravity. Unexpectedly, reports flood in about the Gabaran and End forces clashes, leaving Fard to ponder over his next moves. Even as he ponders, night slips into morning, dragging the anticipation of battle along with it. Soon, both friend and foe ready themselves, staring into the vast expanse where destinies will clash. In the throes of tension, Zenon gets caught in a conversation with Moldorf about the nature of alliances among power-hungry crown princes, sharing insights into the complex political dance occurring behind closed doors. Meanwhile, Orba finds himself embroiled in the unfolding melodrama. Once a mere gladiator, he grapples with his dual identity, as a masked fighter known as Orba and his real self. Tasked with guarding Zyme Fortress, his mind reflects on an unspoken camaraderie shared with the Crown Prince, a bond beyond formalities. Within these tangled webs of alliances and confrontations lies Orba's conflict, his disguise that strains under the weight of impending revelations and shifting power dynamics. A tension tangibly felt as he interacts with those unaware of his hidden face, while allies like Gilliam and Pashian navigate their own interpretations of his true self. In these turbulent times, the charade of identities, tactical deceptions, and emotional gambits interlace in a theater where masks are both a shield and a liability, binding kingdoms and warriors to uncertain outcomes. From the way you're saying that, you've done it before, ho. This comment sparks a revealing conversation between Kane and Orba about their past and future. As they banter, Kane pokes at Orba's disguised identity as a crown prince. Orba deftly deflects, hinting at dreams yet to come, plans for what they might do once all their trials are behind them. Meanwhile, in a grand palace, a crowd eagerly anticipates the arrival of the prince. Their hopes are pinned on him, believing he represents their future freedom. Their cheers mask the grim reality faced by the gladiators, like Orba, who have fought to entertain them. Orba stands among these warriors, shackles a stark reminder of their captivity. Each has lived a harsh life, forced to fight to the death while yearning for the simplest freedoms, to rest, to live without fear of the next battle. Freedom, the taste of it drove him as much as the food and water he needed to survive, captures Orba's longing perfectly. A longing underlined by Orba's dreams of victory. With barely an hour later, his weary head stood before the prince, recalling his own crowning moment. Yet Orba's thoughts are darkened by the reality that many, like his fellow gladiator who succumbed after his victory, have paid a steep price even in triumph. The weary survive another day, a reminder of how cruel fate is for those who dare to dream of more. As Orba recalls his past, his mind drifts to memories of Tsafar and Tari from a different world of schemes and intrigue. These shadowy figures conspire in Idaro, manipulating destinies. Their plan involves a delicate dance with time, all against the backdrop of a city brimming with lurking danger. The pair stands by, watching as lethal dragons are prepared for transport, including the fabled Huran, so impressive with its crimson wave-like aura. The narrative shifts to Idaro itself, a city crawling with danger in the form of a shadow that moves stealthily through its alleys, leaving a trail of bodies and fear. the shadow insinuates itself aboard a ship, unnoticed by the soldiers, until it's too late. Next, this malevolent presence is discovered by Orba. His frustration mounts as he grapples with events beyond his control, feeling the weight of responsibility for the chaos unfolding around him. Amidst the growing tension, Ran stands with him, their thoughts intertwined by shared experiences and fears. As plans are made to airlift the dragons, Orba and his companions confront the unsettling truth surrounding their journey. They find themselves caught in the web of secrets that enshroud Idaro, a city shadowed by rumors and death. Each incident seems to merge with the ever-watchful darkness, contributing to a sense of impending doom. And yet, with the dragons loaded onto the ship, a fragile semblance of order is restored, just enough to allow for their departure. But the sense of foreboding remains, hinting at trials yet to come as they prepare for a journey that promises both hope and danger. The story then pivots to Dairan, where the air is tense with the anticipation of Lord Eric's military campaign. Soldiers stand ready, their composure hiding the enthusiasm and resolve that fuel them. They await the prince's signal, their thoughts unified by a shared cause. Lord Eric is determined to augment his legacy, preparing to lead his forces with bold tactics against the backdrop of a nation on edge. His motives, heavily laced with personal ambition, aim to secure not only the safety but also the prominence of his domain. Beneath the surface, darker machinations unfold as Eric gambles with the lives of captured spies, manipulating them with promises rooted in their desperate need for family and redemption. These pawns in his game represent deeper plots involving nations at the brink of war, each thread tugged with careful precision to unravel potential chaos. This intricate dance of destinies, where hopes and fears are intertwined, sets the stage for the unfolding chaos and the personal battles each character faces, wrapped in the shadows of their choices and the ever-present specter of war. Alien's diabolical strategy is to train dogs, or spies, from the captured men of another nation. These men become instruments against their own people, gathering intelligence on all Ion. One such operative is caught in Zonga. His link to All Ion is discovered when he unexpectedly pulls a sword during questioning, confirming the Empire's suspicions of hidden dangers within their ranks. Eric, gathering with his scouts near a fortress, ponders on the reported movements at night. They've seen lights flickering, akin to a hunting party gathering. It is evidence of Kassiria Jamil plotting within the fortress walls, completely cloaked to outsiders. Eric, moving under the cover of darkness, cautiously approaches the fort. Amidst thick clouds splitting apart with moonlight, he observes a stark silence, suggesting danger. Then, he sees Kassiria's men, hidden and ready, waiting to strike. On the opposite side, Kassiria Jamil grows frustrated. His elaborate trap isn't going as planned. Eric's cautious approach undermines Kassiria's tactic of surprise. He relishes a confrontation with Eric, imagining the duel, longing internally to test his mettle against the formidable future Grand Duke. In the ensuing moments, Kassiria, unable to wait any longer, orders a charge. The air fills with tension. Eric, astutely observing, realizes Kassiria's impetuousness. Eric prepares, knowing they must strike with full force. Lance Maspotter, Kassiria's ally, senses the battle nearing a peak and orders his men into position to fluster Eric's defense. Kassiria's enthusiasm is palpable, but his tactics backfire. Preparing to move within range, he lets loose his attack prematurely. Suddenly, from behind both flanks, Kassiria's and Lance's troops pressure ends forces. Eric, amid this chaos, stays firm. Together with his friend, Belmore Plutos, they navigate through confusion, bolstered by sheer will and the refusal to give ground. Finally, a strategic withdrawal becomes apparent. Eric, with newfound serenity, maneuvers alongside Belmore as his rear guard. With disciplined urgency, Eric commands, "There's a hill to the northwest. Let's take it." Belmore, ever steady and faithful, responds resolutely. He is to guard their retreat. As Eric rides ahead, he reflects briefly with gratitude on the steadfast friendships that surround him. The dawn breaks over Dairan, its peace juxtaposed by the violence just endured. Though exhausted, the End soldiers regroup, realizing the unexpected resistance Eric's leadership has instigated. Eric and Belmore, in an intense embrace of tension, stand firm, invigorated by the challenge ahead. In a sudden downward spiral of fate's capricious fortune, Eric finds himself face to face with Lance in the heart of battle, sword clashing with spear. A whirlwind of combat, interspersed with memories of when they first met, finds each recognizing the other's growth. Lance, once unable to predict Kassiria's moves, now feels something deeper, a strange kinship born of conflict. The clash between Lance and Eric grows into something of destiny. Eric's approach, steeped in calculation and driven by unforeseen depths of resolve, fuels Lance's acceptance of Eric as a worthy adversary. The uncanny prowess of the two rivals illuminates the battlefield with a brilliant ferocity. As the confrontation reaches its peak, Belmore senses Kassiria's alarming recklessness reaching a breaking point. Kassiria, overtaken by fury, abandons restraint, charging without heed, and nearly throws himself into catastrophe. It's only through the stalwart actions of those like Belmore that complete disaster is averted. Back in the encampment, Thil's knight is restless. Cradled by whispered stories and the anticipation of coming battles, she holds onto her spirits taught by soldiers to bestow courage. In the quiet night of Dairan, she speaks of courage, reciting the identity of their armaments. With dawn, Eric and the soldiers take hold once more of their armor's symbolism, heart-steeled and prepared for new trials. Though scattered in retreat, their souls are bound with determination, imbued with lessons hard-learned from the overcoming of their foes. Eric, in a heartfelt exchange with Belmore, is pulled up from the depths of fatigue by a familiar camaraderie. Belmore's presence, charismatic and unwaveringly loyal since childhood, elicits a groan of relief. Eric's acceptance of their shared goal, while reflecting on the journey, strengthens his resolve. Together, unbreakable, they face the unfolding destiny on the battlefield of Dairan. Meanwhile, Kassiria Jamil and Lance Maspotter stand triumphantly at the entrance to the valley. Kassiria, having removed his helmet, exudes an intimidating presence, his hair alight with a fiery determination. His skin is flushed with enthusiasm, his eyes burning with ferocious bloodlust. Lance, sensing Kassiria's fervor, advises caution, reminding him that attacking Dairan is advantageous. Kassiria, with a grin, dismisses any fear of reinforcements, intent on targeting the enemy first. Reinforcements will arrive in time for us to inform Dairan, Kassiria responds confidently. His teeth clench as he considers the irony of keeping the enemy at bay long enough to ensure further attacks without hindrance. To his delight, this assault, which normally requires daring, now seems within the realm of possibility. What if we attack Dairan? Kassiria muses, realizing that even an intercepted messenger could serve their purpose, especially if it convinces the enemy of reinforcements en route. After surveying his forces, he decides, we'll attack with a segmented plan, launching a surprise attack once the city's defenses weaken. By the river, Kassiria positions 800 soldiers, approaching with stealth to ensure surprise. When the moment arrives, soldiers leap into the water, moving quickly to the beat of drums. With black cloaks draping them, their intent goes unnoticed, even as they arrive near Dairan's fortified gates. As the enemy skews towards disarray, Kassiria is ready to seize the opportunity. The prince commands, fire, signaling the start of what becomes a chaotic scene of calamitous wails and strife. From a distance, the sounds of clashing steel and the confusion of combat reach their ears. Kassiria remains unfazed, instead, he revels in the sight of clashing armies, viewing his enemy not just as foes, but as players in a grand, strategic game. Meanwhile, enemy forces led by Canis Pluto's hurry to counter Kassiria's advance. However, finding his own city isolated and besieged, Canis cannot do much without additional support. The city is in flames, chaos reigning, even as he witnesses the disheartened attempts of his men to regroup. Across the field, Kassiria directs his troops, already relishing the taste of triumph. Though met with sporadic enemy gunfire, Kassiria remains unfazed. Mounted leisurely on his horse, he oversees all with a detached sort of glee. Ah ha ha ha, he laughs, embracing the absurdity and thrill of war. In a sleek garden beside the smoldering city, Darokin's daughters run for shelter. Thil and Reen, their hearts pounding, escape to a silent haven amidst the chaos. As they hide, they cling to one another, grappling with fear and seeking solace. The elder sister, Reen, tries to comfort her sibling, speaking softly, when the soldiers finish, they'll come for us. Despite the vice-like grip of dread encircling them, the sisters understand the gravity of their predicament. Rin, reflecting her father's teachings, reminds herself, I'm the daughter of a Dairan warrior, finding strength in those words. Amidst the chaos, Eric, stationing his forces near Dairan, is keenly aware of the danger but remains resolute. As flames rise from the city, devastating sights prick at his resolve, but he steadies himself. For Eric, Dairan holds more personal significance than any place aside from Safia, pushing him to stay firm for its sake. Rallying his men, he decides on retaliation, though their attempts seem futile against the backdrop of war. As dawn breaks, an attack is launched to serve as a distraction, hoping to reduce pressure on Eric's troops. Despite the onslaught, Eric refuses to surrender, urging his soldiers to hold fast with new vigor. Please, allow me to demonstrate my prowess in the vanguard, Eric pleads, compelling enough to lead his troops valiantly. Belmore, injured but unyielding, joins Eric, as both watch sudden bursts of flames illuminate the skies, their shared determination steadfast despite overwhelming odds. The spirits will protect us, Eric proclaims, even as airships light the horizon. Miles away, the plan unfolds with precision. Lance as well signals his strategy through coordinated attacks within Gabara's territory, while Zanon Owl facilitates the execution, sending his soldiers into strategic positions awaiting the enemy's vulnerable moments. Fard Crescium, settled into position on Dairan's outskirts, waits intently. His leadership and the synchronized martial skills of his troops reflect preparation and commanding presence, with his confrontation against Gabaran spear unit soon escalating into a dizzying display of dexterity and combat prowess. Surrender? Never, vows Fard, wielding his war staff like an extension of himself. As the clashing of iron resonates across the battlefield, he remains resolute amidst the turmoil, embodying the tenacity of complex maneuvers executed with devastating precision. Through the dust and smoke of clashing forces, the stage set within Dairan is no longer one of simple combat but a grand symphony of determination, strategy, and fate resting on the blades of those daring enough to wield them. Fard's defiance mirrors the unyielding spirit driving every front of this relentless theater of war. Both horses stop abruptly, suspended in a moment of tense confrontation. Cassiria, Prince of All-Ion, demands the name of his adversary, eager to gauge the strength and reputation of the man who confronts him. Fard, the commander of the Tauran cavalry, prepares for battle, defying Cassiria's taunts. Tensions are high, cloaked in the dust of the battlefield as soldiers reposition themselves, each preparing for the oncoming clash. Meanwhile, inside Dairan city, the sound of gunfire echoes as the soldiers focus their attacks on the fortified mansion. Cassiria oversees his troops, arranging riflemen to prepare for the mounted assault. The cannon soon roars into life, and the defensive walls crack under the explosive assault. The windows shatter, sending glass flying inward, a violent harbinger of the onslaught to come. Amidst the chaos, Thil, sheltered inside the mansion, experiences fear tangibly. For her, every tremor and echo is a warning of imminent destruction. Cassiria, observing from his commanding outlook, nurses a curiosity about Thil's fated presence on the battlefield. Her very existence seems an anomaly, a chance event intersecting his path. He muses with a tinge of regret, feeling that Thil would have grown up to be a beauty if fate hadn't intervened. Caught in this web of introspection, Cassiria hurls a spear, a gesture of violence, tempered with a twisted reverence for the girl's destiny. As Cassiria throws, Thil awakens from her terror, the spear whistling overhead as it narrowly misses its mark. The noise snaps her from paralysis, but her body is too slow to react, causing her to stumble backward. The soldier assigned to guard her intervenes, suddenly aware of the danger lurking in Cassiria's intentions. In a shift on the battlefield, Cassiria attempts another attack, only to be interrupted by a messenger unfolding the chaos enveloping their army. Enemy troops from Mephius and Gil-Mephius have launched a surprise assault, a force unanticipated by Dairan's beleaguered defenders. The air thrums with urgency as warnings ripple outward, galvanizing the commanders into action. Orba, the former gladiator, arrives at the scene, his presence a somber omen of the unfolding war. With haste, Orba orders his men forward, understanding the need to reinforce and assist their beleaguered allies. His presence stirs a sense of resolve among the soldiers, despite the anxiety overshadowing their spirits. As the battlefield churns, Orba and Caesarea find their paths converging. Caesarea notices Orba, recognizing him as a potential threat. He steels himself, readying his spear, intending to dispatch Orba before the tides of battle can turn. But Orba, instinct honed from countless skirmishes, moves with agility, intercepting the attack not once, but twice, thwarting Caesarea's intent. Their confrontation escalates, each testing the other's prowess and resolve. The world narrows to the immediacy of combat, where instinct overpowers reason, and survival tips on a knife's edge. As their weapons clash, the smell of steel and smoke saturates the air, underscoring the brutal reality of their encounter. Amid this battleground dance, Caesarea's anger flares, his plans frustrated by Orba's resilience. The clash is primal, a test not just of strength but of will. Caesarea reflects on the stakes, a realization of the slender line between dominance and defeat in a fight stripped of pretense. Suddenly, reinforcements from both sides arrive, adding new fervor to the struggle. Dairan's gates open, and a tide of soldiers, both enemy and ally, swells into the fray. As chaos reigns, Caesarea recognizes the leader of the incoming Mephius troops as Gil Mephius himself. Their meeting foretells a shift in the war's course, a convergence of ambitions under the sky, heavy with smoke and destiny. In the aftermath of the skirmishes, as the dust begins to settle, the soldiers take stock. For Orba, this battle and its outcomes rekindle thoughts of responsibility and redemption. A lingering whisper from the past stirs within him, an echo of duty and the expectations laid upon his shoulders. Through the smoke-laden air, the prospect of what comes next hangs uncertain, shaped by the intertwined fates of those who clash beneath the sun-soaked banners of war. Thil remains within the mansion's shelter, her presence an enigmatic note in the symphony of conquest and survival, as those beyond the fortified walls continue to fight for their ideals and lives. The air is tense as a young man finds himself gripped by voices from his past, urging him to act. His mother's voice, poignant and haunting, echoes in his mind, "If you don't, that man will eventually destroy all Ion." Alongside it, his little brother's voice joins the fray, imploring him to protect them. Together, the voices form a chorus of desperate urgency, each word a drumbeat driving him towards destiny. Do it, before your life burns out, do what only you can do. The young man's path is clear as he resolutely pulls the trigger. The gunshot snaps through the air, a pivotal moment with the power to change everything. But as the dust settles, the young man is slumped, unscathed, his mind numb, the world around him paused in anticipation of what's to come. Nearby, Prince Gil Mephius is amidst the chaos. The bullet meant for him finds its unintended mark, a young soldier, his arm now a wellspring of blood. "Prince, please withdraw," Pashy urges, eyes keen, voice firm, corralling Gil into the saddle as the scene erupts into frenzied pandemonium. In the thick of the chaos, Gil senses a faint presence, an inexplicable force that seems to emanate from the air around him. The cries of battle swirl, forming a tempest. A soldier braces Gil, trying to help him escape. But even as he's lifted, a sudden, mysterious hand emerges from within the knight's armor, bearing down with unknown intent. Orba, who has been closely following events, senses something deeper is at play. As soldiers around him clamor to protect the prince, he feels the pull of unseen strings guiding them. Pashia's call is frantic, protect his highness at all costs. Yet even as Gil Mephius is whisked away, the enigma deepens, the weight of unseen burdens pressing down on them all. Then, unexpectedly, Orba finds himself dislodged, falling from horseback, the ground rushing to meet him. The earth spins into blazing light before reality blurs into a strange new domain. Suspended in an abstract dreamscape, a voice, unfamiliar, yet knowing, warps the air, "Welcome to my castle." This voice, laced with malice and curiosity, relays an ominous message. A dark place built from resentment, powered by the souls of 12 departed, it binds Orba in its shadows. "Who are you?" Orba challenges, writhing against his unseen bonds. "There is no point introducing myself," the voice chimes chillingly, its essence suffused in power. Suddenly, the expanse of sky overhead peels back, revealing delicate patterns hovering above like an ancient sigil. The owner of the voice, master within this mysterious expanse, declares intent, "Your fate should already have run its course, so why have you been getting so much in my way? But the scene shifts once more to another setting, Miguel leading the charge towards the royal stronghold. As Miguel's plod tirelessly, a thunderous noise builds from within. Ran, hurried and perceptive, senses the unrest among the dragons caged nearby. The earth trembles, the bars glint ominously, and tension hangs like a spectre over their advance. Yet, as swiftly as the threat arises, Ran handles it with calm inspection. When dragons rage within their confines, her keen reflexes and assured command prevent disaster. The cages hold steady, crisis averted, but the unease remains, casting shadows on the soldiers' hearts. Elsewhere, the capital stirs with unusual fervor as rumors abound, each tale taller than the last. Insurrection roils beneath the surface, the land caught on the cusp of upheaval as false reports splinter the populace's faith in its rulers. Amid this maelstrom, the arrival of a Gabaran royal princess adds yet another thread of intrigue. Velina Owl has come to Solan. Velina's arrival is met with curiosity and tension. She encounters Teresa, her loyal confidant, her presence a balm amidst ongoing unrest. Yet, behind Velina's yawn lies unreadable tension, a mystery to all but those closest to her. Say, Teresa. Velina's voice carries an unspeakable weight, not of world politics, but of memories and dreams stretching beyond the horizon. This, then, is the world they navigate, a realm of shifting loyalties and whispered destinies, each step fraught with potential and peril, where the small actions of a few ripple out to change the fate of many. As each moment turns and each voice is heard, the play of power and perception continues, orchestrated under the ceaseless sky. Velina, walking briskly through the port, listens as Teresa muses over the townspeople's differing reactions if they knew her true identity. Velina reflects on the notion of lineage and how it shapes perceptions and responsibilities. Her past, her family, and her title surround her life like an unmoving shadow, but she holds firm. Because I am a royal princess of Garbira. Determined, Velina quickens her pace, resolved to match her lineage with integrity and action. As chaos brews in Mephius, Princess Ineli Mephius addresses the challenges within Solan, notably since her brother, Gil, left. The Emperor's absence causes strife, destabilizing the council and igniting tension between factions. Ineli, trying to manage the tumult, struggles with the nobles' gossip and discontent but remains resolute. Ineli receives word from Odin, a trusted subordinate, informing her of Velina's mysterious return. Conflicted thoughts swirl through Ineli's mind as she contemplates if the crown prince is also near. However, for now, she maintains her duty. Velina, now in Solan, reflects on the city's unrest. She arrives in Ineli's chamber as both anticipation and tension build in the air. Their previous strained history makes this meeting more complex. Velina declares, "I am here to talk about Empress Melissa." Ineli's surprise is evident, but she maintains her composure. Their conversation touches on the Empress's erratic communication from the temple. Velina suggests covert action, which she attributes to her strategic mindset rather than a desire for power. Perhaps, the Empress is an imposter, she proposes, contemplating outcomes and alliances. A soft tension lingers as Velina suggests Ineli visit the temple with her. Though hesitant, Ineli sees the merit in Velina's assertive approach. They discuss misdirection tactics, and Ineli mulls over the implications of disguising herself for a covert operation. Velina's visit isn't just for counsel. Standing before Teresa in the mirror, she candidly acknowledges her internal conflicts. Am I a suitable princess? Teresa reassures Velina of her strength and sincerity. Velina hopes her decisions will honor both her and the title she carries, realizing the faults and truths she's continuously reconciling within herself. Facing Ineli again, Velina deftly maneuvers the conversation, applying pressure about the Empress and the wider political implications. Her imposing will nudges Ineli to consider the personal and political risks involved. Together, they form a tentative plan, with Velina's assertiveness balancing Ineli's cautious approach. Ultimately, they agree to put their bold strategy into action. Velina prepares to don the guise of a lady's maid to infiltrate the temple with Ineli, setting the stage for their next calculated advance. The ever-growing fire of revolution crackling in the distance serves as both a motivator and a warning. The two must tread carefully as the tides of change shift around them. Inelli Mephius grinds her teeth with growing frustration. She grapples with the gnawing thought that the merit of any future success might be shared with a certain brat she resents. Even after receiving praise and reconciling with others, the shadow of her half-sister, Princess Velina, looms large. Inelli's mind spirals into a contentious rivalry with Velina, whom she now sees not just as a nuisance but as a formidable rival. One day, I'll defeat you, she defiantly vows to herself, clinging to the conviction that only through overcoming Velina could she prove her worth. Inelli's resolution hardens, her earlier anxieties now replaced with a steely determination to stand her ground. The next day, the court gathers at a meeting involving the Emperor of Garbira and the Imperial Princess of Mephius. The attendees are careful, navigating the delicate political intricacies and emphasizing unity. The issue at hand concerns an impending, dangerous task meant for Velina, with Inelli pushing for her involvement. The air is tense with the silent, mutual understanding that something crucial hangs in the balance. As the meeting progresses, General Odine Lorgo stands to speak. He initially resists the idea of sending Velina, citing the danger. However, Inelli asserts herself, claiming the right to command based on her high rank, a declaration made without challenge or objection, a testament to her growing influence. The scene shifts to an underground chamber, dimly lit and somber. Ghoul Mephius finds himself lost in reflection. The cold stone walls enclosing the chamber mirror the chill within his heart. The decline in his health is apparent, gone is the vitality he once commanded. Memories flit through his mind, the days after Crown Prince Gil Mephius' departure, the waning strength he felt sapping away each day, and the whispers of courtiers urging him to consider his ever-encroaching fragility. Alone, despite the presence of others, Ghoul is engulfed by shadows, tormented by the ghosts of past triumphs and failures. Visions of his empire, vast and sprawling under the Dominic Peak's fiery gaze, flood his senses. He sees what he once commanded and what now feels hopelessly beyond his grasp. An imposing voice cuts through Ghoul's reverie, challenging his perceived strength. The shadowy figure taunting him points out his humanity, illustrating how even he, with his undeniable power, could falter. It speaks with an unsettling familiarity, prodding Ghoul to accept his limitations. Within the exchange lies an implicit acknowledgement that true strength may arise from understanding one's weaknesses rather than eradicating them. Ghoul feels an ominous presence closing in, a sinister sensation reminiscent of a force far greater than the physical realm. The temperature seems to drop as an icy hand grips his heart. In this moment of confrontation, the figure reveals intentions that are both cryptic and terrifying, promising destruction on a scale unimaginable. Ghoul's resolve falters, leading to an earth-shattering realization of his vulnerability. Simultaneously, Orba finds himself trapped in a disorienting twilight realm. Shadows dance around him, spectral and sinister, echoing a haunting familiarity. His consciousness drifts amidst the darkness, his mind melding past and present. Orba recalls his encounters, battles fought, his spirit resonating with echoes of near-forgotten victories and defeats. As his mind traverses this twilight, Orba confronts an identity submerged beneath layers of memory. It is a haunting experience, akin to a dance with the ethereal remnants of his former self. Faced with the presence who imprisoned him, Orba grapples with the daunting echoes of his past, the realization surfacing as clearly as the tangible memories of figures like Ryukan and Queen Marilyn. The narrative stretches across these intricate intersections of allegiance, power, and identity. Each character's journey spirals into a destiny defined by tests of will and the haunting specters of choices made long ago. In a world teetering on the brink, every promise, every unspoken rivalry, carries the weight of empires to come. Orba stands amidst the chaos of war, reflecting on his past and the choices that have led him to this moment. Memories of his encounter with Fedem, the man who changed his life, play vividly in his mind. Fedem had once declared Orba to be the crown prince of Mephius, a revelation that had set Orba on a path filled with danger and deceit. Yet, the mask Orba used to hide behind had now become a perfect fit, so much so that people were starting to see through the disguise to the man beneath. In the thick of battle, the Dairan soldiers close in, searching for snipers. One had already met their end at the hands of Gil Mephius's troops, but Orba, kneeling beside the fallen, maintains a cold resolve. Canis Pluto soon joins him, aware of the complexity of the situation. Orba suggests using this moment to bolster their own forces' morale. Gilliam, reliable as ever, steps in, ready to lead with Orba to survey the battlefield and maintain their edge against a formidable enemy. As dawn breaks, Lance Maspotter leads the cavalry, a figure of rugged grace and experience. He's well accustomed to the chaos of war, having faced bloodier fronts before. However, this battle is not just any other, it pits them against powerful adversaries with much at stake. Among them is Kassiria Jamil, the fierce prince of all Ion. He rides with burning eyes and a relentless heart, a force of nature on his own path through the tumult. Meanwhile, Lord Eric faces unexpected opposition as he leads his troops through a perilous route. His forces, tasked with protecting the prince, encounter danger head-on as enemy lines blur into view beneath the stormy night sky. The reality of battle hits hard when Kassiria himself enters the fray, an unstoppable force whose presence galvanizes his men. By the river, soldiers wait with torches to guide their allies, unaware that Kassiria has taken a detour, evading the expected path to surprise his adversaries. Lord Eric's quick reflexes and clever tactics pay off when they meet Kassiria's forces. The sudden clash is charged with intensity, but Eric sees an opportunity. "Whoa, this is our chance to win," he declares, rallying his troops with newfound resolve. In the heart of battle, Kassiria spins with his spear, a storm unto himself. His attack sends waves of chaos through the lines, his ferocity unpredictable yet measured. But beneath the chaos, Lance Maspotter maneuvers like a seasoned warrior, guided by instinct rather than sight, as he seeks his own place in the unfolding conflict. Elsewhere, Kane advances with the Mephian forces, knowing retreat is not an option. Here in the darkness, amidst the murmurs of enemies and the clank of weapons, he stands resolute. Orba the Iron Mask, spearhead to His Imperial Highness, Crown Prince Gil of Mephius. Kane's voice carries through the night, acknowledging the stakes and rallying their strength. Meanwhile, Gilliam, standing firm and battle-ready, engages fiercely. Blooded but unbowed, he sees a familiar face in Lance and lunges with everything he has. His final moments are marked by defiance and echoed curses, falling even as his grip tightens on his blade. As this part of the battle lulls, the soldiers of Dairan find themselves caught in a storm that's more than just the elements. Dragons, massive and unruly, appear at the forefront, challenging the very foundation of their beliefs. On the battlefield, a woman named Tai holds a unique connection with these creatures, harnessing ancient powers long forgotten by many. For her, magic is second nature, a part of the element she can control and manipulate to affect both ally and foe. Despite the mounting chaos, Tai stands resolute, knowing her powers are not limitless. Her mind wanders briefly to Tsafar, a man whose ambitions and cunning have shaped recent events. Yet, she remains undeterred, focused on using her talents to influence the outcome of the battle in subtle yet significant ways. As Tai whispers incantations amid the roars of dragons and the clash of steel, the war envelops them all, its weight felt on every side. The campfires burn low, and through the night, warriors and sorcerers alike brace for the dawn of another day, uncertain of what the morning will bring but determined to face it head-on. Tari stands amidst the chaos, observing the erratic dance of Nan, who appears frustrated and confused. The tension in the air is palpable, with Tari wondering why Nan isn't simply killed. As Nan succumbs to the despair, struggling against the fateful waves of confusion, her eyes meet Tari's. Who ran, embodying an uncanny serenity, watches Tari. Her presence is unsettling, almost devoid of human emotion. As Tari speculates the connection between Huran's focus and the strange events, a wave crashes over her, punctuated by a single, cryptic word, Milbak. In a trance-like state, Tari remains oblivious as flames momentarily engulf her, only to dissipate swiftly. A surge of clarity overwhelms her senses, revealing the severity of the situation. Before she can act, Tari is struck down by an unseen force. As consciousness slips away, an unfamiliar voice resonates within her mind, followed by the metallic tang of despair. In the aftermath, the surrounding chaos begins to abate. Miguel Tess orders the soldiers, previously dispersed in panic, to regroup. Watching from the walls, young Lar observes Rant's graceful exit on a dragon's back. His awe turns to urgency as he is tasked with an important mission. Loi is sent to open the gates for a young princess, whose timely arrival could alter the tide of their dire circumstances. Meanwhile, Huran reaches the mansion of the Plutos, demanding entry. It is a sight that leaves the onlookers stunned, not just her commanding presence, but what follows. As soldiers scramble to halt her entrance, Huran confronts Orba, delivering a surprising kiss that renders him speechless and immobile. Amidst this, the scene shifts to a dreamlike space where Orba and Safar exist simultaneously, feeling the excruciating pain of their skin being torn apart and their souls intermingling. Safar, a tormentor and a victim of the consequences of his own devices, finally succumbs to the agony as the boundary between the worlds shatters. In a surreal landscape, Ghoul Mephius makes his appearance, standing in defiance against an ancient warship and the horrific creatures besieging the city. Orba, grappling with the bizarre reality and memories flooding back, listens to Ghoul's revelations about the past and the future, how technology and misplaced ambitions brought them here. As illusions fade and reality sharpens, Orba regains consciousness. His thoughts swirl as he processes Safar's defeat and Huran's mysterious actions. The remnants of chaos linger as the soldiers, now alert, scan their surroundings for threats. A whisper of hope guides Orba as he rises from his stupor, feeling the weight of destiny upon him. Another strange voice signals danger once more, a warning of an unseen threat. Pashia, protecting Ran, endures a fearsome battle against ethereal shadows that attempt to consume their will. In a moment of desperate unity, Orba pushes through his disorientation, sword in hand, and confronts his fears. The enigmatic old figure, Safar, takes corporeal form, their final confrontation brimming with both past grievances and the unyielding hope for the future. Drawing strength from within, Orba charges forth, intertwining fate and desire as he faces the old man, finally understanding the weight of his journey and the promise of a new dawn. The air thickens with anticipation as Orba prepares to carve a future free from the shadows that have plagued him. Safar, desperate and consumed by tension, lunges towards Orba. Suddenly, Orba's voice echoes, revealing more truths than Safar can bear. Emperor Ghoul Mephius, witnessing this, wavers but remains standing, his determination seemingly unshaken by the chaos around him. A haunting voice resonates within Ghoul's mind, challenging his purpose and identity. Ghoul recalls the revolver he once took from Simon Rodloom, a poignant symbol of failed deception and abandoned destiny. Despite having the weapon during a crucial moment, he never intended to use it, silently acknowledging what he now perceives as a futile endeavor. Frustration and doubt grip Ghoul as he grapples with what he understands to be the merciless judgment of future historians. He is tormented by the realization that each person, each ruler, would choose a different path, leaving him lost in his role as a mere vessel. The idea of becoming like a god as a titan is both terrifying and desirous. Yet, part of him understands his limitations, acknowledging he could have never become more than just a vessel for history. Ghoul acknowledges the delicate balance of power and fear defining his reign, the voice urging him to let go. As he raises the revolver with trembling hands, he decides against pulling the trigger, haunted by potential regrets and long-abandoned dreams. The voice in his head, as reassuring as it is mocking, reminds him of the transient nature of power. In a tragic final moment, the gun goes off, but not through Ghoul's own volition. Blood splatters, marking the end of Ghoul Mephius with a powerful, chilling thud. The Emperor succumbs on the cold stone floor, distanced from the grandeur of painted halls or valorous guardians. Amidst the darkness, the elder, Ghoul reborn in another form, gazes abstractedly at the pool of blood, his face a spectral image caged in mortal form. Haunted by the voice's echo and bound by the shackles of his former life, he listens to the taunting words of an illusion, vague yet insightful. This illusion, embodying his vanished son, proclaims the profound absurdity of Ghoul's ambitions, contrasting them against the natural laws binding all rulers. However, the discourse quickly reveals a deeper lineage, linking back to supreme sorcery and ambitions that once sought control over destiny itself. The elder, however, perceives this reflection of his past remain unbowed, accepting that while his aspirations were large, the forces at play were even larger. The discourse evolves into an introspective conversation, the illusion disappearing as quickly as it materialized, leaving him alone with his thoughts. Moving to a room familiar from past meetings, the elder is left reflecting on the translucent table, symbolizing both the fragility and clarity he longs for. The voice continues to prod, raising existential questions that highlight his convoluted journey through destiny and power. From the corner of his eye, a pale light catches his attention. He remembers being guided by such deceptive luminance, enveloping him in nostalgia. He whispers appeals towards this light, reminiscent of a guiding star, hoping to glean truth from it. Elsewhere, Princess Inelli Mephius engages in a delicate interplay of royal duties and heart-pounding anticipation. The darkened sky reflects her growing anxiety as she awaits the return of a messenger, unsure of the forthcoming revelations. When the messenger finally appears, tension grips the air, yet protocol demands Inelli listen. Outside, Empress Melissa gains insight into the unexpected willingness of Queen Velina to meet, a tactical choice brimming with political consequence. Inelli's composure remains under strain, the night drawing deeper, stars faint above. Moments wear on, and whispers of responsibility float in the charged atmosphere. Amidst this intrigue, Walter assures Inelli of his stalwart protection, despite the apparent dissonance simmering within their ranks. The narrative then shifts to a hall where Empress Melissa deliberates amidst the arrayed military leaders. The presence of Czars, Ubri, and Ubri carries weighted silence. The planning and deliberations become bogged down by past insecurities, concerns clouding attempts at straightforward strategy. Malevolence and grudge simmer beneath Czar's demeanor, who interacts with suspicion, pointing towards a potential trap at the hands of an elusive messenger. Melissa commands respect, her resolve palpable despite Czar's interruptions. Her fierce gaze demands allegiance and truth from those sworn to serve her. The scene is a web of loyalties and unresolved tensions, the encroaching night reflecting the shadowed choices facing each character. Melissa is resolute, challenging Prince Gil's motives, determined for clarity amid the conspiratorial murk clouding Mephius. As they all deliberate, the threadbare unity of the Council of War trembles on the brink of fracturing under the weight of suspicion and political gambit. Melissa glares fiercely at Velina, her emotions raw and unchecked. She challenges Velina's assumptions, her voice dripping with disdain. "How dare you speak that way? Coming back from the dead? Anyone can tell you how, on the strength of a claim that anyone can tell is false, that man seized Mephius' capital by brute force, and with brute force turned his blade against His Majesty the Emperor and seized the throne." Passion ignites in Velina's eyes. She refuses to be swayed in her belief that the man burdened with the title of Crown Prince is not just a mere impostor. She argues that circumstances forced the Crown Prince to defy his death precisely for the country's benefit. As she tries to break through to Melissa, Velina stands firm, her demeanor unyielding, even as Melissa accuses her ally of being nothing more than a slave. In a near whisper, Melissa's words ring loud and clear. "That man is a slave." Velina, unfazed, presses on. "With a slave, do you wield the likes of a slave? Acts that even protect the country?" She questions Melissa, trying to show the depth of her conviction. The sarcasm in her voice is a shield, reflecting back the skepticism directed at her. "That kind of loyalty?" Melissa retorts vehemently, challenging Velina. "Would you call that Crown Prince? Do you want to marry and have it sit on top of the imperial family? What if, unexpectedly, the day comes that the Emperor's blood appears in him? Would that cover it, Garbran Princess?" The heated exchange spirals onward. Velina does not back down from Melissa's scornful laughter, even as it envelops her. Her mind flashes back to moments, to impressions left by the man she defends, an enigmatic figure described as both evasive and sincere, a man who sought solitude behind his iron mask, yet harbored ambitions grander than anyone suspected. "I wish to be by his side," Velina admits earnestly. Her declaration is a profound echo within the battleground of words, a stand that embodies her loyalty and belief. Melissa's disbelief is shattered when Zhu Sidioyus interrupts. His announcement pierces through the charged atmosphere: Emperor Gil is dead. Velina stands frozen, disbelief mingling with sorrow. Memories of Emperor Gil flood her mind, a man she viewed as an adversary yet whose passing leaves her unsettled. As this news settles, chaos and shock ripple among the gathered assembly. In an intense moment of confrontation, the elder Tsar Sidioyus demands that Melissa join him. He offers a bizarre assurance that under his guidance, her child would claim supremacy, hinting at a future controlled by his enigmatic power. Velina resists, confronting Zars with unwavering resolve. She refuses his proposition fiercely, her voice clear and commanding. "You mustn't." In the midst of this power struggle, thunderous bolts of lightning suddenly illuminate the sky, bolts as if unleashed by a magical force. The soldiers recoil, taken aback by the bewildering sight, gripping their swords, undecided between advancing and retreating. Velina holds her ground as panic spirals outward. Her commitment to the crown prince steels her, and she mentally steels herself against the elder's manipulation. The atmosphere crackles with energy, but Velina, poised and resolute, stops any obedience derived from fear. Suddenly, Flora, Melissa, and others watch as Zars, with ominous commands and powers, vanishes mysteriously, leaving the perplexed soldiers in the wake of the celestial phenomenon. As the storm subsides, Flora is rooted in place, observing the aftermath. The memory of her mother lingers. Though she should feel sadness at the loss of these connections and changes, she feels serene as everything seems to fall into place, understanding slowly dawning within her. The echoes of the confrontation set a new course, a battle yet to be fully realized, with Velina firm in her resolve, courageously facing the unknown future that awaits. In the midst of a tense standoff, Ubri Bailan, the fierce general of the Black Armored Division, confronts Flora as he brandishes his sword for intimidation. His voice bellows, filled with self-righteous anger, as he proclaims betrayal against the impostor crown prince, Gil Mephius. He challenges the soldiers, daring anyone who doubts to refute him, his loyalty to his version of the truth unwavering. Flora, caught in the dangerous crossfire, becomes a strategic pawn for Ubri. Her sister Velina steadfastly opposes him, emphasizing that if the king has indeed passed, the responsibility of the empire's fate should be addressed without shedding innocent blood. Her plea, however, clashes with Ubri's hardened resolve. He is convinced of his mission's righteousness, claiming his actions are driven by an allegiance to the empire and personal justice, as he aims to kill with these two hands. Despite the chaos enveloping them, Velina bravely steps forward. Her composure and the steel in her voice demand that Lady Flora be spared. Ubri's aggressive posture seems unnerved by her calm authority, yet he remains unmoved. In his mind, eliminating Flora and securing Velina offers a clearer path to achieving his vendetta. The tension peaks as Velina challenges Ubri's principles directly. "Is it the kind of justice you can be proud of?" she questions, unique defiance radiating from her every word. The recrimination stings, but Ubri, with a grim smile, maintains his stance, now willing to take Velina as his hostage. While the two clash in this verbal battlefield, the situation escalates. Suddenly, flames pierce the sky, capturing everyone's attention. A fire rages, chaos unfolds further as soldiers scramble to respond. Taking advantage of the disarray, Velina maneuvers herself as a strategic leader amidst the calamity, convincing Ubri to release Flora. Meanwhile, guided by determination, Flora manages to rise despite her initial frailty and commands the respect of the crowd surrounding her. Her transformation is notable, from sheltered royalty to a beacon of integrity in adversity. She stands with confidence, bolstered by Velina's unwavering support, and the crowd slowly shifts its allegiance to their cause, one that seeks truth without unnecessary bloodshed. The narrative shifts dramatically with gunshots abruptly echoing through the air. Inelli Mephius, deeply seated in her own contemplations, witnesses the unfolding chaos with an unreadable expression. She appears detached, yet a glimmer of resolute focus hints at internal machinations. Inside the temple's crumbling ruins, Inelli observes Flora's ascension and Velina's brave defiance. Despite the frenzied turmoil, Flora's previously unseen courage impacts her sister, catching her attention. The moment carves a new resolve within Inelli. She recognizes the significance of establishing a personal path aglow with purpose. However, destiny seems to have forged a different path for Ubri. As soldiers encircle him, gunfire erupts, and chaos ensues. Amidst shouts of fire, Ubri falls, his last thoughts tinged with disbelief and resignation. His downfall symbolizes the extinguishing of a vendetta driven by misplaced loyalty. With Flora and Velina emerging from the temple together, their alliance crystallizes into a formidable force. United, they stand as torchbearers for a new order, one that champions truth and justice over blind allegiance. The scene highlights their transcendence from pawns to pivotal players in shaping the Empire's future. In the aftermath, Orba finds himself reflecting on recent events. The burden of leadership weighs upon him as he navigates the intricate chessboard of war. He stands poised against the backdrop of an ongoing military campaign, with the ever-looming threat of his concealed identity's discovery. Orba, known for his masked demeanor, gradually embraces the enormity of his strategy. Armed with the allegiance of his allies, including Pashia, he rallies his troops, instilling in them the tenacity of their collective cause. As battle lines are drawn, he remains resolute, driven by the promise of a future where justice prevails. Throughout the narrative, there is a continuous undercurrent of tension, plotting, and intrigue. Each character must wrestle with their own doubts, ambitions, and loyalties. The battle for the Empire's heart unfolds against a backdrop of war, political maneuvering, and the eternal quest for justice, leaving no room for complacency. This tumultuous chapter encapsulates a pivotal moment where paths cross, destinies shift, and the future hangs in the balance, all within the gripping saga of the Empire's narrative. The characters, both in their failures and triumphs, craft a tapestry woven with the threads of power, sacrifice, and the undying spirit of hope. Amidst the chaos and swirling dust of the battlefield, Gilliam is poised to confront Orba. With burning determination, Orba swings his arm, knocking the warrior from his path. The skirmish unfolds dramatically as Orba and the others gallop into combat, facing an enemy that outnumbers them significantly. Lance Maspotter, astride his horse, surveys the battlefield. He faces formidable enemies lined up in a deadly formation. With steely resolve, he contemplates the approach of an iron cavalry wave. His presence is commanding as he bellows orders to his men, urging them to stand firm even as the enemy closes in. The enemy troops are advancing, seething like a mighty flood, ready to overwhelm Lance and his men. Lance, however, remains fiercely defiant, and his courage visibly inspires those around him. Charging forward, he senses the fury of the approaching force and braces to meet them head-on. As the enemy charges, cloaks billowing like eagle wings, the scene is set for a confrontation that will determine their fate. Suddenly, the intense stillness before the collision is broken. Lance grips his spear tightly, eyes focused on the enemy. At the very last moment, when the pressure reaches a boiling point, his spear finds its mark. The blow lands with meteor-like force, meeting an enemy who appeared unconquerable. Yet the rider facing Lance is undeterred. Orba, silent and unsmiling in his mask, watches intently as Paha, another leader, coordinates their army's movements. A strategic withdrawal is initiated, designed to draw the enemy into a favorable position. As dawn breaks, Orba sheds his iron mask and leads his troops toward the rising sun, signaling their march to glory. With raised voices and impassioned spirits, they advance, determined not to let the sacrifices of their allies be in vain. Elsewhere, the battle rages on, and Lord Eric of End throws himself into the fray with unrelenting energy. The ground around him is littered with enemies, and Cassiria Jamil, Alien's formidable prince, stands apart with a menacing aura. Cassiria, shrouded in a blood-red cloak, is relentless in his assault on Eric. His focus is razor-sharp, yet it is not simply his swordplay that makes him formidable. His spirit seems almost feral, as if fueled by an unquenchable thirst for battle. Eric, in contrast, is methodical, with each swing of his blade calculated and precise. Suddenly, a chilling cry pierces the battleground, a high-pitched, almost otherworldly shout. It's Cassiria, his attack relentless, driving Eric back but also feeding off the turmoil created on the battlefield. Eric, with his back against the wall, is momentarily faltered but manages a counterstrike that shudders through Cassiria's stance. The stakes are high as their weapons clash, and yet, there is a moment where Cassiria senses something unmistakably familiar. He is haunted by the resonance of a previous defeat and driven by a need to rewrite his past failure. The sound of a horn then splits the air, signaling the presence of Mephius' forces, allies advancing to aid Eric. In the midst of this revelation, Gil Mephius charges onto the scene, an embodiment of will and power. The sight fuels Eric's resolve, who finds an ally in the chaos. As Gil spurs his horse onward, a fiery battle reignites. The scattered flag of Mephius appears, heralding fiery spirits and iron resolve burning in each soldier's eyes. Riding like the wind, Gil confronts Cassiria with unparalleled fervor. Their swords clash, each thrust imbued with historical enmity and the weight of dynastic pride. Cassiria, sensing the potent spirit in Gil, feels the raw hatred and a driving need to cement his own legacy by vanquishing this unyielding opponent. At this crucial juncture, Lance joins forces with Gil, creating a formidable alliance. His presence on the battlefield lifts the hearts of those who fight beside him. As their swords strike, sparks fly, and the very earth seems to tremble under the pressure of their clash. Meanwhile, Shikyu, observing the fight, seems enveloped in a dust-filled haze, caught in a moment of introspection. It is as if the battlefield itself holds its breath, allowing a momentary reprieve amid the chaos. Orba, watching the unfolding drama, feels a sudden, forceful tug that swings him toward another path. It's as if Sheik's presence becomes a beacon, signaling a new direction in the chaos. The rhythm of the battlefield shifts again, and Orba finds himself contending with unexpected openings. As the opposing forces pull back, Cassiria is momentarily unsteadied, giving Orba a chance to exert control over the battlefield. In the heat of combat, as Lance urges Cassiria to remain steadfast, an opportunity arises. Lance's timely intervention causes the enemy to reel back into a position where their lines start to disintegrate. With the end in sight, words of victory ring jubilantly among the allied ranks. Riders under Lance's command give chase to the retreating enemy, infused with a sense of triumph. Though some harbor the desire to capture prominent figures for glory, cooler heads prevail, ensuring the wounded and the valiant are given their due respect. Thus the battle turns in favor of Gil Mephius and his allies, solidifying their grip over the field, while allowing a fiery, yet cathartic, release in a struggle worth its weight in valor and sacrifice. Amidst the smoldering tension and shifting alliances, the troops of All Ion stand at a critical juncture. Despite setbacks, Fard Crescium, a tenacious leader, pushes onward with a relentless fervor. His forces, alongside the rebel Zonga soldiers, regroup to face the might of Garbara's troops, known as the Unstoppable White Tigers. A ferocious clash erupts, with Master Cassiria Jamil leading the charge from the Garbaran side. He is as deadly as a hurricane, wielding his spear with both elegance and ferocity. The battlefield swirls with chaos as both sides confront each other with unwavering determination. In the heat of battle, Nilgif, Fard's younger brother, exhibits unwavering valor. Though slightly inexperienced compared to his elder sibling, his determination adds fuel to Fard's aggressive campaign. The siblings fight side by side, each complementing the other's skill and tenacity on the field. As the fight intensifies, strategic moves and tactical plays come into light. The timely arrival of Gil Mephius shifts the tide drastically. Gil, wielding his slender sword with precision, orchestrates a series of moves that upends Fard's carefully laid out plans. When the enemy advances any further, "Show your strength," he commands, his words like a clarion call to his troops. Meanwhile, Cassiria cuts through enemy lines, pressing forward with a dance of death around him. Amidst the dust and the chaos, he exhibits a tactical acumen that leaves his enemies reeling and draws the admiration of his peers. His soldiers, inspired by his audacity and charisma, rally around him, determined to maintain their hold. Back at All Ion, tensions simmer among those left behind. News from the battlefront sends ripples through the ranks. Information of attacks and counterattacks becomes the lifeline for those strategizing from afar. Fard's fervor reaches a boiling point when he learns that Mephius had cleverly outmaneuvered him, calling into question their strategic position. The battlefield becomes a stage for heroics and deep resolve. Fard, undeterred by setbacks, continues to drive his troops forward, responding to each maneuver with strategic acumen. His adversaries, however, remain as resolute. They capitalize on every minor slip-up, pushing Fard's forces to a breaking point. Yet, amid victory and valor, the shadow of despair looms large. The death of Emperor Gul, unexpected and swift, ripples through the political landscape like a dark omen. Orba's return to Solan is marked by an eerie silence. The enigmatic mask he wears conceals the turmoil roiling within, a turmoil not shared with even the closest of confidants. Nobles gather, whispers buzzing in solemn tones, discussing the implications of the emperor's demise. It becomes clear that victory does not spell the end of their woes. As Orba approaches the empty chair left by Ghoul, a pang of lost words and unfinished conversation stings him. In the shadows, Orba confronts profound questions about identity, legacy, and his own place in the churn of power and responsibility. Memories of oppression and past sacrifices resurface, entwining with the present. "Who are you?" The echo of Ghoul's voice taunts his consciousness, a haunting reminder of unresolved destinies. Standing at the crossroads of power, Orba wrestles with the weight of invisible chains. His path, one of vengeance and revolution, has led him here, yet the enormity of what lies ahead presses heavily upon him. In the introspection of solitude, Orba comes face to face with the specters of his past. The future, although daunting and undefined, beckons him with relentless urgency. As he strides forward, undaunted by the shadows at his heels, there is an acknowledgement, a longing for redemption, understanding, and perhaps, for peace in an unyielding world. Orba steps aside to make room for Velina beside him. She approaches, her gaze fixed on the coffin before the altar. His Majesty Emperor Ghoul Mephius was not easy to understand, she says, her voice barely more than a whisper. Velina's eyes shine bright with emotion, glancing at Orba as if seeking answers to questions unspoken. Orba recalls the complex relationship with his father, noting how Velina had once encouraged them to reconcile. Velina, reflecting on the past, says, "If I had spoken to him, in no way did I hate him. If, although talking about Liv isn't much use now, I could have said something to him, maybe things would have turned out differently." Their silent moment stretches on, filled with the weight of what could have been. The conversation turns intense as Velina confronts Orba. "Did you make any effort to understand your father?" she asks. Orba, reluctant to delve into his emotions, offers no answer. Velina continues, urging him to see that the bonds of family are fraught with misunderstandings and reconciliations. Their history is riddled with echoes of conflict, Velina's former fiancé leading a rebellion against Ghoul's rule. To Orba, it seems like an inevitable dance between fathers and sons, rulers and rebels. He acknowledges the truth of her words, adding, "There's no need to understand everything about each other. Just one thing means so much." Orba's voice softens as he admits, "You can pretend to be fine, but even if you understand why, you might never accept it." Velina's presence is a balm, her empathy cradling Orba's troubled heart. She responds with conviction, uttering what Orba had realized himself: relationships shift and mold, even when cloaked in strife. Their dialogue deepens. Orba teases her with warmth, observing, "You've shown me how you look when you're sobbing and falling apart." Despite their challenges, he finds strength and solace in her resilience. Finally, Orba kneels before Velina, asking her to become Mephius' mother, joining their futures. His gesture speaks volumes of commitment, reflecting growth beyond personal grief. The conversation, mingled with emotions, paves the way for a new beginning. Despite their past, Velina smiles brightly, reassuring him, "We have a long, long time ahead. But I am not patient enough to spend all of that time waiting." The narrative shifts as we enter the epilogue, casting light on the broader realm. Political dynamics unravel with the entwining lives of nobles and warriors. Pedem Allin recalls Emperor Gil Mephius' coronation, noting the subtle shift in power that Gil exemplifies. Elsewhere, Nedain wavers under the shadows of its past, choosing allegiance amid the stirring echoes of rebellion. The delicate balance of the nation hangs, as Gil's presence resonates through the lands. Gil Mephius, ascending to unparalleled heights, considers what lies beyond his grasp. With the dragon flute in his possession, he stands before the Sea of Delphinia, pondering the ties that bind him. Back in Taulia, Axe is confronted with familial duty upon hearing of the Emperor's demise, the gears of strategy turning as alliances reformulate. Old bonds and new betrayers flicker, intertwined with intent and memory. The tale ebbs and flows like the tides, and as Axe recollects his grand responsibilities, he realizes the mysterious Aelio's influence on Orba. Alongside political shifts, personal vendettas and familial loyalties cultivate a landscape of both honor and intrigue. The whispers of Ghoul's death ripple across borders, reaching King Anm Owl of Garbira. Here, emotions churn and relationships redefine themselves, echoing the eternal dance of power and legacy. In a world where alliances are as fragile as glass, the story of Orba and Velina transcends the mundane, capturing the enduring spirit of hope amid layers of strategy, emotion, and rivalry. The sun sets over Garbira, casting a golden glow on the path of change that lies ahead. In the heart of this evolving nation, two young princes, Rosetta and Zenon, stand poised on the brink of a new era, each acutely aware of the weight their lineage bears. Zenon reflects on the uncertainty of his future, the memory of his enemies and allies swirling in his mind. His path is not just his to forge, it is laden with expectations and destinies intertwined with those around him. Within the halls of the palace, Eric, a loyal soldier, finds himself embroiled in the tensions and triumphs surrounding the Battle of Rhyolide. A fervent battlefield engagement where Garbaran innovation and the daring of their soldiers clash dramatically with the looming threats. Eric survives close encounters, weaving tales of heroism and defiance. As tensions simmer, his resolve stands firm. Absolutely, for the next, Eric ponders, his thoughts veiled with the uncertainty of what awaits him. Meanwhile, as the wedding preparations for Princess Velina reach a crescendo, a lighter air fills the halls of the royal chambers. Velina, ever sharp and inquisitive, confronts Din, her loyal chamberlain, about his peculiar behavior. "Do you have a spy among us?" she teases, revealing her keen perception as Din squirms under her scrutiny. Their banter highlights the intricate dance of loyalty and duty, fleshed out in the shadows of the palace's ancient walls. The ceremony ushers in not only a union of hearts but also a clash of cultural fervor. Under Gil Mephius' auspices, gladiatorial games are revived, a spectacle of might and valor, a tribute to his deceased father. The games are a signal, a declaration of strength, as gladiators clash in ruthless competitions. Among them, a young boy stands out, a testament to survival and steely resolve. Presented with an Imperial Guardsman spear, his eyes, sharp with defiance, meet Gil's unwavering gaze. Their exchange, a parry of words and destinies, writes another chapter in the annals of Mephian legacy. "My father was a Mephian soldier," the boy declares, his words spitting through gritted teeth, adding layers to the fabric of Garbara-Mephian relations. The tension culminates as Gil gestures generously yet ominously with a sword, a blood-red embodiment of future challenges and promises. Each moment, each decision, recalibrates the balance of power, casting long shadows over the hopes and fears of all who inhabit this realm. As Velina steps out, leaving behind whispered promises of future conflict and alliance, both paths are set. Steel will meet steel, honor will be tested, and beneath it all, the heartbeat of Garbira will echo through time. The future lies unfixed, a canvas waiting for the strokes of destiny's brush. Amidst new beginnings and old grudges, Garbira marches forward, guided by the hands of princes, soldiers, and all who dare to dream.